Yeah, Shakshi is online. Yeah.
Hi Sakshi, good evening. This is Keshav. Yeah, I think you are on mute. I'm not able to.
No, I'm not on mute.
Yeah, you are not on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can. Sorry, earlier when you joined in, I was a bit distracted. I was taking another call.
No, no, it's okay. So
Thank you.
how are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm fine.
Great, great. I learned from Sai Kiran that you are having fever. So how are you feeling now? Is it getting better?
I'm just having my tea. My throat is paining, so
Is it because
yeah.
of some season change over there?
Yeah, because initially it was quite sunny, but yesterday there was a storm.
Mhm.
So I think because of the weather change,
Yeah.
and plus climate change is quite significant this year in Europe.
Okay.
Everything is, yeah, it was snowing, I think day before yesterday in Switzerland.
Okay.
September, it's too early. Snows in
Mhm.
January or December.
Yeah, I had been reading news that there is a shift in climate both in US and in the Europe. So
Yeah.
the
In
season is
Europe, it's
changing.
really bad. We didn't have summer the whole year.
Yeah. In fact, some of my clients who are staying in London, so they usually don't have fan. So this year and last year too, temperature crossed. I
40.
think yeah, more than 30. I guess. I think
No, no,
in
40, 40.
40. Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So that they were telling me that it happened for the first time for them.
Hmm.
So yeah,
That's true.
lot many things going on. So
I just hope things become
Sakshi,
better.
yes, should we start then?
Yeah, let's start the
Great,
session.
great. So good evening, everyone. Good evening to all my fellow participants. Thank you for joining this session. And as we always say, that make the best use of this platform. You don't get to meet these people every day, and especially you don't get to talk to them directly. So this is an opportunity for you. These people, they have a real experience. So talking to them for 15 minutes is worth maybe like reading a book. So just make best use of the time, and let's start with the session. And just one information here that this session will not be 1 hour long like we do every time. Uh, it's just that Sakshi is not really well, and we really respect that. Uh, but I think still we are going to have fantastic 30 minutes or 40 minutes of session with her. So Sakshi, though we have already informed our students, our participants that you have a very exciting background in machine learning, data science, and you have been working with delivery. But I would let you speak about yourself, about your experiences.
Thank you so much. Hello, hello to all the participants. I hope you are really enjoying working with the NASA Space App Challenge. So I think this is my second year with the Space App Challenge. My journey with machine learning has been, I think, it is more than now 6 years. I can say 5 years or 6 years. I started working in natural language processing when I was in my second year of college, and then I have always worked in NLP and machine learning. Last year, I was one of the judge panels at the NASA Space App Challenge. Then I was working at Delivery as a senior data scientist. I am currently pursuing my master's in computational linguistics. I did my internships in data science. So I think this is one thing that I have continued to work on. And with I think for students who are now participating, because they would be using ML and deep learning and a lot of other, interesting, innovative technologies of AI, I think they will really understand how important it is to integrate the right algorithm with the correct problem statement. I think this is one thing most of the students, they want to pursue ML, but they don't know exactly how to sort of integrate and when to integrate, what to integrate. So I think this is something I hope from this session you all can learn. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can follow me on my LinkedIn to know more about me, or on my Twitter page. I'll share the links so that you have a broader idea. Yeah, that's majorly it.
Amazing, amazing. So, Sakshi, just for a wider audience, if you can just, oops, I didn't realize my videos off. So, just for a wider audience, if you can just define in a simple terms, what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, and uh, what is data science, and what is the difference between all these three fields?
Okay. So artificial intelligence is a really broad topic. It basically means that you are providing some sort of intelligence to a system which has the ability to learn from mistakes. Just like how human works, they learn from their mistakes and they improve their actions for a better tomorrow and whatever. So it follows the same approach. Now, there are different kinds of parts to artificial intelligence. For example, if I say there is machine learning, there is reinforcement learning, there is, if I'm not sure how many people here know, let's say reinforcement learning is completely based on profit and loss, gain, profit or gain based learning, where where systems or robots or chatbots or any kind of bot for that matter, excuse me, they learn that how much profit we are we are receiving if we are making a certain step. Nowadays a lot of games are also using this approach. I'm sure students here must have heard about it. That's where what reinforcement learning is also a part of artificial intelligence. Then for machine learning is also, of course, they come from the same parent of AI. But in machine learning, what we tend to do is that we let our machine decide what exactly and how exactly our results, our output, how relevant is it to the actual result that we want to get? How is the machine learning? How is our system learning to receive something to get to a level where we can say, okay, yeah, this is something what we wanted and this is what we've received? What is the accuracy as we talk about? So, the most common metric of machine learning is accuracy. And this is why we sort of talk about it in a way that how relevant, how accurate are our results from the actual or from our hypothesis that we've defined in earlier. So this is the whole crux of machine learning. Machine learning itself is divided into two major parts, and of course, reinforcement learning is also part of it. Supervised learning, unsupervised learning. In supervised learning, we have our data that we have is already labeled. We have the information about it, and it is that we want our system, our machine, to understand with what trend it can identify this as the same data that we generated, so that we know that okay, there is some sort of relevancy, there's some sort of dependency, that these are the features, these are the factors that help us understand and help us guide. Okay, if we want to, let's say, classify apples to apples, it probably could be based on the shape, color, etc. So those are the features which help us identify that yes, this is an apple, and then ultimately our machine can label it as an apple. The second major part is unsupervised learning, where we don't know what it is. So based on similar characteristics, we sort of club the data or the result together, the output together. Let's say we have 10,000 people and we know nothing about them. We know some things about them, but we don't know whether they are girls or boys, let's say, for example. We don't know their gender. So maybe we can have like people who are taking maths. There's a general tendency that engineering courses or mathematical courses mostly are taken by boys. of a certain age, and then girls are more into medical or into other fields or something like that. So with these features, we sort of label, or we sort of club together the similarities and try to analyze, okay, are all these information belonging to the same category or not? So this is what unsupervised learning is based out of. And the third thing which was asked was data science. Data science is to extract knowledge once we've done our data pre-processing, cleaning, data transformations if needed, applied machine learning to it. The result that we get, the knowledge that we extract from it, the insights that we receive is the part of data science. So it's basically AI, ML, and then data science. So this is the hierarchy. Data
Beautifully
science and ML can mostly go hand in hand because it is somewhere close to each other. But yeah, if we be very specific, then this is how it
Beautifully
goes.
explained.
Thank you.
So,
I hope it was
so
clear to the students.
yeah, definitely, absolutely. Lots of our participants had been appreciative about our speakers in the past as well. So we are actually lucky to have speakers like you who just break down everything so beautifully and very easy for our audience to understand. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
And okay, so building up from the explanation that you have provided, uh, it may be difficult to answer, but what do you think that how much we have learned about AI so far?
I think we are in a very good space right now because I think 2 3 days before I was watching a documentary where there was this um, bot that was developed which could help physically impaired people, uh, who cannot, who are visually impaired or they're physically impaired for different kinds of disabilities that they have either got post some injury or some accident or by childbirth. So there were different segments where in medical science especially how they can help um, talk if they can't. Then there was this machine which you fit in your head, and what you think that can be extracted and that can be displayed over a screen. So something like that happens. So somebody who cannot speak, he can easily transmit and share what he feels through such machines. Of course, this is something, there is still a lot of work going on because if we I have to take this out in the market for people to use it, there has to be a lot of things to consider. But if there is a capability to build something like that, I think it is going to create wonders because there was this machine that people who are visually impaired can understand the significance of color. So something like that, not just, I mean, I just don't talk about technology like to automate it, but something which is so beneficial for people, especially in the medical field. I think this is something which can really help a lot of. Unfortunately, these people have been suffering with this, so it is going to be a lot more easier for them to live life. I think that's the most basic one can do, and I think something like that exists. Then, of course, in a lot of armed forces, machine learning is being used, which is being used in a very disciplined way. But there are a lot of work. There's still a lot of things to be taken care of because I think, as we know, what happened in Afghanistan. Okay, that's mm, quite different. But I mean, there are so many things to take care of. Even though there is a possibility to have an automated way of dealing with stuff, we still have to see that it should not become a threat for us.
Yeah.
So that is one thing which is very important. One has to take care of it, especially if I give an example for, let's say, virtual assistants, we are using it on a daily basis. Hello Siri, okay Google, Bixby, this, that. If I'm forgetting something, so even that. So all these are making our lives very easy, but they're also collecting immense amount of data from us. They are extremely personalized, which they're supposed to be. But on the other hand, they also know a lot of information about ourselves. And these companies have to take care that they use these data in the most utmost secure way, to a point that it doesn't harm anyone. That, of course, is there, but I think there is a possibility to make it even more accessible to people, so that they can build that kind of trust, because I think a lot of people nowadays are worried about giving the data also. This is also
Mm.
there, which is true, but it should not be the case, because that trust has to come from a lot of these companies who are immensely using the data. For example, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. So when we say managing the data and controlling the technology, so first question is, uh, are there just bunch of decision makers telling machine that what to do, what to not do? And then second question is specifically talking in terms of unsupervised learning. Uh, is it possible that after, let's say, uh, X level of learning, the machine can go uncontrollable and there cannot be control checks? It can run on its own.
Coming back to the first question, that to that we have to actually understand that how well is our model performing. First thing is this. It is also relevant to the second question, that okay, that after, beyond a point, is it going to learn or not? The possibility is very less that if you've reached a certain threshold, there would be a very small increase. It's not like that you've learned it till here. Let's say from 0 to 10, from 8 you've reached. Now you want to go to 10. So the increase will be very constant. And coming back to this, that whether it's going to be a threat with learning, no, but with the application, yes, where it is being applied. Let's say, for example, like the example I gave, that a lot of things are being used in warfare. Let's say NASA is using a lot of machine learning techniques to identify whether it is on Mars. If if you found something, water is there, this particular let's say gas is produced there or something like that. If they're trying to identify something, what kind of rock is it? If it decomposes itself at this rate, what will happen? So all those things are being identified, not just on Mars, on other stuff also. So these are the things they are applying it in a fruitful way. So there is no harm in applying something in a fruitful way, but if something like that goes out of your hand, which is not controllable, I think that is something we should always keep in mind. There can be a lot of other things, like I won't go very like detail, like it's really bad or something, but we have to like we need to take care of biases, we need to take care of prejudice, we need to take care of things like which there can be a possibility of human error. We need to take care of things which are there might be situations where some particular events are extremely sensitive, could be because of climate, could be because of the culture of the lifestyle. It depends on the application, like I said. So this this thing has to be introduced when we are building the system, so that once the system is built, it is not having some sort of different results for a different situation. This is something we have to take care of, that we include everything in our machine learning model, or in our system, in our bot or in our robot, whatever we are trying to build. So these checkers, now initially what used to happen, these things were overlooked. Now, because they are understanding, okay, there are biases here, there are problems in this situation, we didn't consider this case, or things like that. So those valid entries are being added now whenever a system is being built. Earlier, what used to happen, they used to just improve the data, add those kind of things, and retrain the model.
Mm.
Now the way of building it is also changing, which is very important. It's a good change,
Mm.
so that it gives more accurate results and it gives more transparency also. not just
Mm-hmm.
focusing on something which is common or majoritatively what is happening.
It is more like a sustainable and a responsible development towards AI.
Yeah, it is more ethical, I would say.
Ethical, yeah, correct,
Yeah.
correct. Mm. So, ma'am, where do you see India in AI technologies and development, and what is the potential in our country in these technologies?
I think I'll be very honest. I'm here in Germany,
Mm.
but what work Indians have put in here is compared is really really very interesting compared to what natives are doing or anybody is doing, because I think, because I always felt that India is like, we really work hard. We are hardworking people. We come from a place where we really need to work hard to prove ourselves because of a lot of factors. India has a lot of potential. It has good developers. People are really trying to come up with interesting projects, interesting innovations, extremely talented people. I think they need to channelize their research, because they are this because in India research is at a very niche level. Only IITs, and not every IIT also is doing something which is so, you know, amazing, or it will really blow somebody's mind. So those things are there, but it's limited to a very particular section of people. And I'm sure people who are students who are participating in this hackathon
Yes,
would
sir.
also realize that, yeah, okay, this thing we don't have the access, or we're not able to do it, or for whatever reason, maybe they don't have the professor. They might have the professor, they might not have those labs or those instruments which they might need. So those things, if those things, the logistics part improves, I think there's a lot of potential for extremely new ideas to pop in. But that depends on a lot of things. The improvement of logistics is the, I think, most primary thing, and of course finding the right supervisor or finding the right guidance, either at university, at jobs, wherever. Because if you don't know somebody who has the right knowledge, then extracting information from Google is also not, you can of course Google and see videos from Stanford and all, but it's still not the same when you do it practically.
Mm.
So I think these two things, if we really focus on, the people are extremely talented, and India is in a very good place when it comes to software development or machine learning research.
Right, right, correct.
Yeah.
So, uh, just to some other day I was having a conversation with a random person who happens to be an expert in finance and accounts industry. So we were just having a general conversation that there is certain aspect of finance and account where we can really automate it and build up a system which learns on its own. So he's not an AI expert, so his comment was, look, it's going to be very difficult to bring AI into this thing. So better develop uh, some formulas that we already know, so that
Mm-hmm.
we know that after step one is step two, step three. So my question is that how much accessible this AI technology is for small startups versus is it just a game of a big companies, or is accessible to small startups as well? Because I see a bit of a hesitation with
Discrepancy. Yeah.
how
Hello.
it's going to implement. So how much it is accessible?
It really depends. There are a lot of big companies who are not using AI for everything, or they're not using machine learning or deep learning for every instance. And there are a lot of startups which are completely based on machine learning, or yeah, whatever specific. For example, if I talk about mhm. Okay, let me. I'm not sure how many of you know about this startup called Haptech. So they are basically based in Bombay. It's a natural language processing based startup. They are using ML because their entire work is based on it. So I wouldn't say that it depends if the size of the company matters. That is not something which is true. As long as you have the idea that yes, this problem is much more easy and important to solve with the approach of machine learning, I think only then introducing ML is relevant, because ultimately what we want to do is automate our system or to create something uh, which is new, efficient, and has good performance, works on its own, understands the differences that initially we as humans couldn't understand that efficiently. I'm sure we can, but that efficiency, because our efficiency increases and then decreases. But with the systems, with AI models or anything, they increase at a lower pace, but then they reach a point where our efficiency is really low and theirs is really high. So it all depends on the problem statement, on the approach of the work, what we need to use, how we need to use, and what are the implementations we need to make, how our data should be divided, how we are going to distribute this work if we use machine learning or not. So the accessibility, of course, is there for both the companies, be it a startup or a big company. The relevancy is important, that how much relevant is it for our problem or for our project.
Correct. So you might have come across this notion in some section of general masses, and sometimes
Mhm.
it is advertised in media as well, that
Mhm.
is AI going to steal our job? So what are your thoughts on that? Is it just
I think
misinformation, or is it really
it is very
possible?
vague for people to talk about it like that, because I mean, I don't know how exactly I should answer. So the thing is that, of course, there is a possibility that if, for example, in factories, a lot of instruments are getting automated, but I wouldn't say that the jobs would go away. There would be a reduction for sure. There's a possibility of reduction. I'm not even saying that there's a reduction, but for things like this, but it's not like that if AI will come, nobody is going to work. That will never happen.
I think we will move towards more skilled jobs.
More skilled jobs, yes, which is also, I think, a
Good
good
for.
way, because then everybody is going to work hard and not just have. Of course, I'm not saying any job is big or small. I mean, people are working extremely hard. It's very important for what they do. It defines them. But what I mean to say is that probably they might not be then just doing something which is manual. They would be then using the system.
Mm.
Rather than doing things manually, they would be taking care of the system, learning something new. So it's not like that jobs would go away. It is just going to be automated, I think. That is what it is going to be. Yeah. I
Correct.
think media, we should not follow that much in India.
Yes, yes, you're right. You're right. They are the biggest reason for distraction.
Yes. For every controversy that has happened in the country, it is because of the media issue. So
Yeah, and I think sometimes they consciously do that because that gives them
yeah,
masala.
TRPs and all.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just for that.
yeah. So, yes, ma'am. So, what would you recommend to young students if suppose they want to build up their career in academia of AI, or they want to uh, start up a company in AI? How they are going to use it? Yeah.
So I think first thing is that they should, first of all, of course, know machine learning, and they should know deep learning, they should know reinforcement learning, they should know data science. Don't go in too much of detail, at least have like a brief idea. You should be able to code everything. Going for research, read a lot of research papers. There are very good conferences which are working extremely hard, and people are working extremely hard to get into those conferences. Uh, they have very interesting researches. There was this research paper which Facebook had published, I think, couple of months back, where they were using microservices. It's a part of infrastructure, and they were implementing this with machine learning. And I don't know if all of you know or not, but even Apple, the new laptop that has been launched, both Air and Pro, they have a neural based GPU. So there are things that have been, that's what I'm trying to say, that jobs are not related. It's just that they're automating the existing system to improve the efficiency. So something like that, try to do as much research as you can for startups. Read the blogs, read the job profiles of the people who are in a machine learning based startup, how exactly they started. Of course, you have to do these kind of readings and findings. You have to do that. Otherwise, everything is at your disposal, but you have to find the right which suits you. Because depending on somebody, that is, I would attend this session or that session and I'll understand everything, that's not going to happen. That's not possible. You
Yeah.
have to work towards it. We can of course share you the guidance, but ultimately try and look. You have to look on your own. We can tell you places. If you're really into research, read as many research papers as possible, do as many projects as possible. If you're interested in finding out how to start a company which is based on AI, or just in general, if you want to work in AI, then go to these companies, read their blogs, read their papers that they've published, what kind of projects they are working on, how are they implementing those projects. You'll learn a lot from this. So I think, yeah.
Correct. So, few students have been already asking me, how can we keep in touch with Sakshi ma'am? LinkedIn, Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram.
I will just 1 second. I'll share you my LinkedIn this thing, my link, so that just 1 second, please. Should I share here on the chat or?
Are you here?
Yeah, I've shared this on the chat. So hopefully, I think. Yeah,
Hello.
can you
Yeah.
see my screen? Sorry, can
Um,
you see my
y-
chat?
yes, 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 we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, so
share the
you
link.
can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll
Mm.
also share my Twitter this thing, so that you know, like what I share and everything, so you have an idea. Just 1 second. Excuse me. Yeah, so you guys can reach out to me if you have questions. Even now, you can ask me.
Great, great. So yeah, I'm conscious about the time, but it's still, I think we can
I
take
can
up.
take a couple of questions.
Yeah, we can take a couple of questions. So Chatra, we can open the line for the participants. If they have any questions, they can speak to ma'am or they can write and I can read. I can speak on their behalf.
Yeah, sure. However, it is.
Oh,
I'm fine with everything.
hello, ma'am. This is Chaitra.
Hello.
Ma'am, I have one doubt. Like, how does one with non-technical background can actually get into this AI platform, and what are the useful resources where one can actually find to get into this AI field?
I think first you should, okay, if you're from a non-technical background, that's okay. But you should have good knowledge of mathematics, because machine learning is completely based on mathematical formulas and functions. So that you, if you don't have statistical knowledge, mathematical knowledge, probabilistic knowledge, these things are important. If you don't know them, you can always, there are plenty of books available. If you don't want to go through some books, you can always see lectures online. There's one at Stanford which is very widely used. There's a lecture by Andrew Ng, but don't go with Andrew Ng first. I think that is the most widely used lecture. It is completely based on maths. It will give you all the information, but for that, practice these topics beforehand so that you can understand what he's trying to do with those, like, I mean, with those formulas or those functions. So definitely understanding of mathematical functions, probabilistic knowledge, all these is very important. Statistical knowledge is important. With that, start programming. Start with Python. Python is the most commonly used language these days for machine learning. Start with that. There are a lot of courses available. Internet is full of resources for Python and for machine learning. I'm sure you'll find a lot of relevant. I also write in the chat so that.
Yeah, that will be very much useful.
There is another course by Stanford. Applications of machine learning. I think these two courses are. Then there's this book which I will show. Sorry. Yeah. I think if you can. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, if you can see this, the elements of statistical learning. It's a really very handy book. It will really help understand. I'll also mention. Mention the authors also. Springer is also a conference. Then NIPS is a conference. AAAI is a conference. Okay, IEEE is also there. It's the most common. Am I forgetting something? ACL is there, yeah. Yeah, these are the major conferences. If you want, you can. PDF, yes, this book is available in PDF. If you can search the name, I'm sure you'll find it.
You may not find a free torrent for it, but I'm sure you can find a PDF copy on Amazon or any other.
I think this is on Stanford, or they also have it on Springer. Just go to 1 second and write it. If you
Yeah, usually, sometimes because when we were also in the college, we usually tend towards finding free PDF link on torrents. It's easy to get a first copy in India. So
yeah. Don't use torrent. I'm not sure if. I mean, I'm not sure, but yeah, you will find it on Google Scholar page. The PDF. And to get a career in data science who are new in that field, I think it is also somewhat similar to what I said. You have to understand what is happening in the industry, what are the topics that are being spoken of, what kind of projects are available, read about them, try to implement a very basic version of it yourself. Let's say if there's for example, some kind of detection is there. Let's say if we are over maps, let's say a car passing by, detecting the proximity of the other car so that they can avoid injuries or accidents, whatever. So just try and implementing a car detection model, something like that. Like whatever is happening, try to implement something at a very niche level, at a very basic level. Make as many projects as possible, contribute to projects over GitHub, which are based on ML or AI. I think these are the things you should start. Read research papers, read blogs of those companies, the projects that they're doing. I think these are the basic things you can start with.
Okay. So, Chatra, do you have any other questions from the participants?
No, sir, that's all.
Okay, great. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for your precious time.
For having me, and I'm so sorry I had to cut short the session.
I should have already told you, I received direct messages at the beginning from few students. They were already appreciating you that in spite of being sick, you still have made out and given your precious time. So yeah, thank you on behalf of all of these participants.
Thank you, and thank you so much, and all the very best to all the participants. I hope that with this Space App Challenge, your field and interest towards machine learning expands, and you work more on it. And yeah, if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to me on Twitter. I will get back to you ASAP there.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was amazing speaking to you, and hopefully we will connect again in the future. We'll
Yeah,
keep in touch.
definitely. All the very best to everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Bye bye.